Happy Monday and welcome into the Monday edition of Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad, Nick Keyser, intern Robert here with you. Hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. We got a whole lot to get into today. It is game day for the Tennessee Titans, Monday Night Football. The Titans will take on the Miami Dolphins tonight, and we will take your thoughts on that throughout the program here today. Joe Rexroad, good morning. How are you?
Doing okay. My computer's been doing the circle thing for about 10 minutes. Really starting to freak me out, but I think it finally turned on. So
It's Monday for the computer.
Don't have to have a total meltdown this morning. So doing good. Had pretty good football weekend.
Let us not get any further into the show without discussing the most highlighted part of the football weekend. What a victory for Nolensville and for Brennan Rexroad on Friday night.
Yeah, Nolensville Centennial 10-6 grinder in the wind, and yeah, sometimes right place, right time. Little scoop and score for the lad. Little scoop and score. He looked pretty fast.
Score.
I don't know if I have the I have to show you guys. I don't think I have it on my phone, but he can get some. He runs a lot faster than Ivor did. I'll tell you what.
Who was faster, Brennan Rexroad Friday night or Derrick Henry on his 87-yard sprint to the end zone last night?
Yeah, there might be a little difference there. I saw. So I saw did someone say 22 on Derrick on that 22 miles an hour?
I think I did see that.
And it was like Derrick Henry and Xavier Worthy basically the same speed yesterday at full speed. Like what? Unbelievable.
It's kind of scary to think about.
I mean, and I'm sure that I know there will be. I've seen some takes off this, and that's fine. I get it. And it's got to be hard. I know if you're a Titans fan to see that happen for the Ravens. But how do you not root for the guy?
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
It's hard. I know it's a conflict, but man,
it was fun to watch him do that last night.
What'd you say? 24 for 199?
Yeah,
24 for 199. So he had 23 for 112 on top of the 87-yarder on the first play of the game. And I know we already have one Harbaugh brother to worry about in terms of issues and lots of things. What's up with John Harbaugh not letting him get one more yard? One more yard. He's the first back in NFL history to have 7 200-yard games, which in the Hall of Fame discussions would work pretty well for him. He may may have another chance, but you don't know he will. I mean, 200 yards in an NFL game rushing is absurd. I cannot believe, and I don't know the exact circumstances because I went to bed in the fourth quarter. But how do you not make sure the guy gets that yard?
I agree. I mean, we need to have a little bit more historical context out there. John Harbaugh. Yes, we are more concerned about Derrick Henry's yardage total than your football team. So make sure you come through next time.
Yeah, I mean,
also it's one carry. Just get him one carry. Tell him to fall down after he gets 1 yard and then move on.
Yeah, I don't. So had he been taken from the game altogether?
I did not. Right. I was with you. I was asleep.
Well, if anybody saw the very end, I need to know how they don't get the guy the 200 yards. Yeah. But regardless, working out pretty well for him and the Baltimore Ravens.
Going very well.
The Ravens they're going to be there. They're in there. I will never understand how they ever lost to the Oakland Raiders, but they are going to be just fine. Hey. And Derrick Henry absolutely is a good addition for the Baltimore Ravens.
Raiders are 2-2.
Yeah.
You got a nice win yesterday.
They did.
Against Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Nick Keyser, good morning. How we doing? What's going on?
Morning, fellas. Yeah, doing well. Robbie, also, I totally forgot there was someone with the same name as you on the Baltimore Ravens last night.
Well, that's Ronnie.
Stanley.
Is it Ronnie? Yes, I heard him say, I'm pretty sure I heard them say
Close
Robbie.
cousin of mine.
Close cousin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ronnie
and Robbie. Ronnie and Robbie would be a good show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to sell it, but all right. Yeah.
Someday in Baltimore, Ronnie and Robbie.
Yeah, I think I'm going to move to Baltimore, but if he wants to come here and join us, that's fine.
And that's fine. All right.
He can do that. That's
good
fine.
Player.
He is. Good player. We got a lot to get to on the program today. We will get heavily into the Titans and the Dolphins coming up. I want to start with Georgia and Alabama, though, and the weekend of college football. So Alabama's up 28-0 at the half. What was the score? Or 28-0 quickly in the game. What was the score at the half? 30-7 or something like that?
30-7.
And then Georgia comes storming all the way back, takes the lead before what may end up being the greatest living football player of all time, Ryan Williams, takes the score. I don't know if you guys know this on the broadcast from watching him all year, but he is 17 years old. They pointed that out a few times. But Ryan Williams with a great play. I mean, that spin that he had was just unbelievable. And Alabama, Jalen Milroe walk off with the win against Georgia. So a big win for Kalen DeBoer. And I think, to me anyway, and we can have the Travis Hunter discussion too, but that's a pretty good Heisman kind of launching point for Jalen Milroe on Saturday night against Georgia. What did you make of that game and that win for Kalen DeBoer and Alabama against Georgia on Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, the future champions of two leagues. Yes, over the weekend, go up 28-0. The Vikings over your Packers. Sorry for bringing it up.
Thanks.
I just snuck it in there. And Alabama over Georgia. That Ryan Williams play, he spins the other way and then like puts on the little hesitation just enough to get the sideline, against a guy who's also going to be a first-round pick, by the way, and then just burns past everybody. Like, seriously, that play alone by Ryan Williams, like, is just outrageous. But I don't know what to think about Georgia after this, I mean, I think Alabama, this happens sometimes. You get a big lead, you maybe relax a little bit. You're not really playing the same game. I think if they kept their foot on the gas, it's probably, but that's what happens. Sometimes you get the big lead. Again, saw it with the Vikings yesterday. So credit to Georgia for coming back, but like Carson Beck was so bad in the first half.
He was.
And then he made huge throws and huge plays in the second half. But I think the biggest, first of all, one takeaway from this game, which I'm glad my guy Chris Vanini wrote this column, like, it did not feel any less important or massive because we have a 12-team playoff. Like, the game is a huge game. So, I mean, it's college football is amazing.
Well, the stakes are 100% less, but yes, it's a good game. It's a huge game.
Yeah, but okay, but that's fine. I mean,
well, let's not sit here and act like it's not anything less. Like, it is less.
But the consequence of a game, like we focus so much on what's the consequence of a loss. It's a huge game between two great teams.
Well, nobody ever said it wouldn't be.
Well,
but the consequence
you may
is
not
100% less.
You may not have said that it wouldn't be a bigger game. Ari Wasserman absolutely said that. Okay. Absolutely. And it's garbage. It's an amazing college football game. So that's one. And two is Georgia really might not make the playoff because there is a consequence for them. I mean, and the thing is, when we have these huge, stupid leagues, you're going to have some teams with way harder schedules than others, and they have one of them.
Ole Miss one's looking a little less daunting than it was this time last week.
It is, but I mean, it's still. I still think Ole Miss is a dangerous team. They're a flawed team. They're a dangerous team. But I mean, Texas and Tennessee.
The thing stands out with Georgia to me. Not that Ladd McConkey is like some, Julio Jones out there, but Ladd McConkey was a reliable weapon for Carson Beck, and certainly Brock Bowers. And you're watching that game, particularly in the first half the other night, and they were talking about this on the broadcast too. Like, who's that guy? Like, who is the big playmaker for Georgia now? And I don't know what the answer to that is.
Well,
that's something they got to figure out as they move ahead.
And early in that game, before he started making some mind-boggling decisions, Carson Beck puts a perfect ball in Arian Smith's hands. Yeah. Like, you have to make that play. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're between that and, again, credit to their defense for, like, getting them back in the game and all that. But I don't think their defense is, it's not what we've been seeing the last few years from Georgia,
Right.
And also, I think that when they want to get it going, I mean, Alabama – I mean, Ryan Williams obviously is absurd, but Milroe is, like, I think with this offense, he's taken another step as a player, and it's just so hard to deal with that, right? He's such just a home run hitter as a runner, and now the way he keeps advancing as a passer is,
well, I will say there are a couple passes he threw the other night where, I've always liked Jalen Milroe, and I thought he was a good player. I have wondered, like, is he actually like an NFL quarterback? And I tend to lean like no when I've been thinking about that. A couple throws he made the other night, I was like, I think he might be an NFL quarterback, and he might have a chance to be a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting in terms of him and the draft by the time we get there. But I think it's actually going to end up being a really good thing for him to be with Kalen DeBoer.
I agree.
And being in this offense because he's taking steps. So
is Nick Saban holding them back?
Not saying that. Not saying it.
A lot of people throwing that out there the other night.
Is that right?
Yeah. No, I think it was tongue in cheek. I think.
Yeah. No, I've already encountered like Nick Saban like Bama people. I wrote a thing about Nick Saban. People are very mad at me. I'm not going to say anything bad about Nick Saban for a while. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I thought Jalen Milroe seemed like a college quarterback who, but now I think he's becoming that in the NFL. And again, like if you go in the NFL and you find, and the way offenses now again are kind of mirroring college offenses. I mean, tell you what, man, Jaden Daniels is a freaking ball player.
He's a stud.
And again, like, it's not that. I mean, Jaden Daniels, last year was you could see it like, oh, okay, he is going to. Same kind of thing, though. Early in his career, it was like, is he going to be an NFL quarterback? Now look at, I mean, it's unbelievable watching that guy play. So,
no, it's pretty wild. And then there's the Ole Miss Kentucky side of this too. Kentucky waltzes into Oxford and takes down Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss just really couldn't get anything going in that game. They finally did a little bit in the second half, but what a win for Mark Stoops and Kentucky to go on the road and take down Ole Miss. Now, a lot of people talking about this in the aftermath. I mean, go look at the first 4 games for Ole Miss. They didn't play anybody, with all due respect to our friends down at MTSU, but MTSU still in the infant stages of building a program under Derrick Mason. The schedule has not been very impressive for Ole Miss, and I think you may have seen some of the aftermath of that against Kentucky.
Yeah, and you know what? You also now have seen Kentucky 2 straight games take 2 supposedly high-powered offenses and hold them to combine 30 points.
What's that tell you about South Carolina?
Right?
They ran right through them.
I tell you, although that was so much about, their defense was scoring and stuff, but I mean, Kentucky does have legit guys up front on D, and Ole Miss couldn't block them. I mean, Jackson Dart was running for his life, and if you have that, you can run all the tempo you want, and it's not gonna work as well as you hope. Then you got a college kicker moment, and yeah, some definite reality. It's too bad for Lane because I loved Lane's trolling of Hugh Freeze.
I did too.
For a minute I'm watching Saturday, I'm like, wow, Lane trolls Hugh Freeze, and now he loses Kentucky, and now Hugh's about to beat Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Then that didn't happen.
That did not happen. Did not happen at all.
Sorry, Auburn fans.
615
Nick Keiser was there.
71025 is our phone number. We're off and running on Robbie and Rex Road. We'll get into the happenings in the NFL yesterday and then get to the Titans and the Dolphins coming up tonight on Monday Night Football as well. All that coming up. Robbie and Rex Road, 1025, 1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rex Road, Nick Keyser, intern Robert here with you on this Monday morning. Titans and Dolphins coming tonight on Monday Night Football. We will get into that matchup here shortly. First, we take a look at the happenings around the NFL yesterday. Let's start in Indy, where Anthony Richardson goes down yet again, Joe Rex Road, and Joe Flacco comes in there, and the Colts hold on for victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So first off, bad call by me because I felt very confident about the Steelers going in there and winning. But the Colts win 27-24 to improve to 2-2. So back-to-back wins for the Colts. But now Anthony Richardson dealing with a hip injury. Only threw 4 passes yesterday, 3 of 4 for 71 yards. Flacco coming in 16-26 for a $168, 2 touchdowns, and a rating of 105.9. So the old man coming in there getting the job done again. But yet again, Joe, the Colts dealing with a situation with Anthony Richardson being hurt.
Yeah, and it's just they put him in. I mean, no one expects them to never run him because you want to use the skill set you have for your players, but just put in harm's way. And the last hit he took was, to me, I think should have been flagged. I mean, I know it's hard. It's like that slide starts a little bit late, and you're like, but man, he took a hard shot on that I was very surprised the way that they officiate a quarterbacks anymore, that it wasn't flagged. But yeah, back to the old question of whether he's just too fragile and too easily injured. And it's good for them that they got Flacco. Flacco is a good signing as a backup, and he made a couple big throws because the Steelers definitely made a run. It was a runaway win for the Colts, and the Steelers almost stole it out of there.
They did. Speaking of almost stealing one, Jacksonville was playing well against Houston yesterday until they weren't. And then C.J. Stroud did his thing, 27-40, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 110.9. And Houston holds on for the win 24-20 against the Jags. So Jacksonville has now dropped to 0-4. The Titans trying to stave off 0-4 tonight. Trevor Lawrence, 18-33, 169 yards. 2 touchdowns, did not throw an interception, but also had a couple plays that were there, Joe, yesterday that he just totally airmailed the ball on.
He did. I mean, I think, he did. Yeah, there was the one deep shot that gets replayed a lot out there that, man.
Titans fans are having fun with that one.
Yeah, but he did actually, played pretty well. And for a while, it was like, wow, they might actually do this. They might actually go do this. And then just a great little play call by the Texans at the end for the winner when I thought maybe it was going to end up going to overtime. They tried to get Stroud in on the run. Jags stopped him, but it's good for the Jags for playing better, but nothing to show for it. We might be talking about Titans and Jags, the only 0-4 teams, both in this AFC South that was supposed to be so much better.
Hey, Colts have won back-to-back games. Houston's 3-1.
They have.
Looking good out there.
Yeah.
Kansas City wins yesterday, 17-10 against the Harpster and the Chargers. They're 4-0, and 4-0 really when their offense hasn't looked all that great so far this year, but they got it done anyway. But a big loss for them, Rashee Rice with the torn ACL, and if you watched it, it was pretty gross. I think you knew it was pretty serious at the time, but he will be done for the year.
Yeah, that's a brutal loss. I understand Patrick Mahomes and everything. Look, the reality is, even with Rashee Rice so far this season, it's not like they've been setting the world on fire with that offense. Now they did get Kelsey going yesterday, 7 for 89. He hasn't done a lot. They're going to have to lean on him. And Xavier Worthy has the TD. Xavier Worthy, when it's absolutely, you can either clinch the game or you give the Chargers another chance, okay, against man. You run him on a crosser. Who's going to stay with him? So he's a weapon. But I feel like, I tell you what, hot take here, maybe. Like, especially if the Titans lose tonight. If I'm the Titans, if I'm the Chiefs, I'm thinking about a phone call to each other about DeAndre Hopkins. And I know it's a very different kind of player than Rashee Rice, but just another receiver who can make plays. I feel like they need that. I feel like they have got to be on the hunt now before the trading deadline to get a receiver.
I would agree.
It's not as simple as, well, you got Patrick Mahomes. They have a great defense. I mean, they have a team that can win it all. They're 4-0, but I don't think they have enough right now without Rice.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think they had enough last year, and they did. So, like, I guess we can never count them out.
He was a big part of that.
He's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And, eventually Travis Kelce had a good game yesterday, 7 catches, 89 yards. What's he gonna? I mean, Father Time is undefeated, and is this the year where he starts to slow down a little bit? So far, it looks like yes, but we'll see what that looks like as the year goes on. How about this one? The Denver Broncos win 10-9 on the road against the New York Jets yesterday. They had -7 yards passing at the half, and Bo Nix finishes 12 of 25 with 60 yards. So 60 yards passing for the Broncos, and they win 10-9 against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets yesterday.
Aaron Rodgers lost to 60 yards passing Bo Nix yesterday. And then, Aaron Rodgers so clearly hates Robert Saleh.
Yes.
It's just going to be.
Well, so Saleh got up in his press conference and started talking about like the cadence that they use, and maybe they need to dial it back a little bit. Simplify, I guess, was basically his approach, because I guess the Jets had like 5 false starts yesterday. And Rodgers was like, well, that's one way you could do it, or you could hold them accountable. Either one. And went on this long answer about that. So, yeah, I don't know if he and Saleh are huge fans of each other.
Going well. I think Saleh wants Aaron Rodgers to like him, but he doesn't. I just, it's Saleh's he's going to be the one who pays the price.
Yes.
If, I don't know. At times they've looked pretty good this year, but that's such a bad loss. That is a killer. And you're still in position to win, and you got a college kicker moment for an NFL kicker, but still, man, that has a real chance of being total dysfunction again with that organization. Congratulations.
Shocker.
Even with Aaron Rodgers.
Cincinnati gets on the board in the win column, 34-24 against the Panthers. You brought it up. The Vikings win 31-29 against the Packers yesterday. Got up 28-0. Packers almost came back, came down to an onside kick. Braden Arvidsson missed 2 field goals. Time for him to go, which I said multiple times yesterday. And the bottom line is, regardless of the circumstances and the way you want to cut it right now, Joe, for the Packers, Malik Willis is 2-0. Jordan Love's 0-2. What does it mean?
Well, that is true. What if they gone with Will? Quarterback controversy.
I don't know. It could be quarterback controversy. The Bears win 24-18 against the Rams. The Falcons hold off the Saints, win 26-24.
Another game-winning drive for Kirk Cousins.
And knew Kirko wasn't going to let them go to 1-3. One of the things I felt pretty solid about heading into it. And you mentioned Jay Daniels. The Commanders take down the Cardinals 42-14. That offense looks like an absolute wagon right now.
They've punted 1 time in the last 3 games.
Yeah, in the National Football League.
I'm telling you, man, it's not a mirage. That kid is. He's just, and look, there's great support around him. So it's always like, how does this rookie QB do this? And this rookie QB doesn't do this. He's got protection. He's got a running game. He's got good receivers, but he has the game on a string.
Yeah.
I watched most of that game, and I actually was excited for that game. Got the Kansas City Chargers game too. My little YouTube 4 screens. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing in life. And, but I'm like, this is going to be amazing. You got Kyler against it was no game at all.
Oh.
Cliff Kingsbury, game ball.
You know about Kyler. Is there a Call of Duty release this week?
I guess.
Any game come out?
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't check. Probably should have checked about that heading into it.
NCAA football is.
Yeah.
Kyler's
deep into his dynasty mode on College Football 25. Did put in the film study this week.
I know a teenager played that for about 7 hours yesterday, so I guess it's a thing.
I know a now 32-year-old man that played that for like 3 hours Friday night. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We will get into the Titans and the Dolphins coming up next. The Dolphins, a 2.5-point favorite tonight at home against the Titans. How much pressure is on Will Levis and this offense? We'll get into that. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
And what are some of your thoughts on going tempo on offense, get that urgency going?
I think we think it'd be great. There's some of those things but it has its pluses and minuses, right? Sometimes you go fast and you go really fast 3 and out, and all of a sudden you're off the field in 30 seconds. Your defense is right back up. So I think it's a feel of the game and kind of what advantage does it give you that week. So I think there's some weeks it's better than others, and we've done it a little bit, but it's certainly be something we expand in the future if the situation arises.
That was Titans offensive coordinator Nick Holtz. Titans taking on the Dolphins tonight on the road. A doubleheader on Monday Night Football tonight. You have the Seahawks and the Detroit Lions, and then the Titans and the Miami Dolphins. Tyler Snoop Huntley at quarterback for the Dolphins tonight. So you'll have that. We'll get into that here in a few minutes and what that could mean for the Titans defense. I do want to start with the offense, though, because, look, we've talked a lot about it. Will Levis has had a bad turnover in every game to this point. Now, last week's a little bit less egregious than the other two, but a turnover nonetheless that's been pretty brutal to watch in every week so far. The Titans offense has gone 17, 17, 14 as their final point totals to this point. And tonight, the Miami Dolphins, with Tyler Snoop Huntley as their quarterback, are still a 2.5-point favorite against the Tennessee Titans. So that tells me that not a whole lot of confidence, number one, in the Titans, and certainly not a whole lot of confidence in the Tennessee Titans offense. So, we're getting into week 4 of this thing. We've talked about heading into the year. Maybe it will be kind of a slower building process with the offense, with the newness that's there, the new play caller, a lot of new weapons, and the offensive line coming off an atrocious showing against Green Bay last week. How much pressure on Will Levis and this offense, for really lack of a better term, Joe, to show some sort of a pulse tonight against the Miami Dolphins, which we've not seen much of so far this year?
Yeah, well, certainly there's a lot of pressure on the offense to be functional, to be competent, and this is such an opportunity, to win this game. I look, and by the way, you may be also again looking at a backup quarterback, possibly.
Maybe
when the Colts come in here. I mean, I have no idea.
I don't know if that's good news or bad news.
I don't either. I mean, it was bad news. It was bad news to miss Jordan Love, or it was. Like Jordan Love would have been the preferred,
especially since he could barely move yesterday. I can only imagine what it would have been like against the Titans.
But I mean, this matchup, the Titans defense should be able to hold the score down. So the Titans offense, like, you don't have to put pressure on yourself. Oh, we got to get to 30. We got to get to the mid-20s. I think that you can, can you bust the 20 barrier?
That would be a good start.
My goodness. I think you might win if you do that. And I think that, you can do that. I still think that this offense, it's just like if you have one glaring issue, and I guess there's two, which is the second would be, of course, a quarterback turning it over. But that clean that up. Don't give the other team a touchdown, basically, right? Don't give the other team a touchdown with a mistake, and then right tackle.
Yeah.
Right tackle, figure something out so that you can be okay over there. There's been other parts of the offensive line that have been a problem, but what is it, a game time decision tonight between Petit Frere and Duncan?
I don't know.
I guess.
I mean, does that tell you that both of them may play significantly? Because if that's the case, that's not good. If you're trying that hard to decide between Petit Frere and Jalen Duncan, that's not good. My approach would be, and I'm interested to see what theirs will be, I would roll back with Petit Frere because I think the upside, I think, clearly is better than Duncan. Like if you're rolling Jalen Duncan out there and you're expecting any sort of protection to hold up on the right side, I think you're probably living in fantasy land at this point. Now, you may be with Petit Frere as well. I don't know. But at least there's the hope, and we have seen him at times in his career look somewhat competent at protecting the quarterback, and we have not seen that from Jalen Duncan.
Based on what I've seen, and I know whatever, like practice has severe limitations, but I the more I think about this, it's like maybe they're just trying to do anything they can to motivate Petit Frere. I mean, look, I understand pulling it from the game at that point.
Yes,
I get it. I totally do. And I guess it just depends. Like you could have after that just said, well, it's Petit, it's Nick's job, but we just felt we had to pull him out or whatever. Well, they've gone to this competition situation, but I just can't. There's still to me, quite a gap between the two players, which I know is very depressing to hear that. But if they put in Duncan tonight to start, he will get replaced.
Yes.
I will make that prediction and be confident in it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what we would have seen at this point in his career that would make you think otherwise at that point. It's just it's a bad situation that they're in. And you're hoping can Petit Frere, I guess, snap out of it, for lack of a better term? Or is this just what he is? Because if this, I said it last week, if this is just what he is, then I don't know where the path to this thing getting a whole lot better really looks like with this team, certainly with this offense. He's got to be better. Latham, I feel good about. Latham feels good, and I think you're seeing clear progress that is being made there. He had a rough first week against the Bears, and I think he's responded very nicely since then. So I feel pretty good about Latham heading into tonight. Skoronski, depending on who you ask, whether it's me or the head coach, differing opinions on the way that Skoronski has played to this point. But another opportunity for him tonight to take a step as well. Just, if we get here tomorrow and we're talking about the Titans offensive line giving up 6 sacks tonight, for Will Levis, especially if you couple that with a loss, the way the schedule shakes out, they need a win badly tonight. I mean, you're talking about a bye week coming up. If you lose tonight, you're 0-4 heading into it. It's going to be just an absolute cloud of negativity around your entire team, your entire franchise for 2 weeks if you lose this game tonight. Not saying that all goes away if you win, but there's at least something to point to and to feel good about if you can win a football game tonight. Especially if your offense looks somewhat competent while you're doing it.
Yeah, it's a huge, I mean, we are going to be doing all we can to ignore all the texts and calls about the draft if they lose tonight, for the rest of the football season. Because if they lose tonight, they're going to be at best 1-6, and certainly I think they could be 0-7 to start. And it's just, you're just talking about what's next. And, throughout that, you're still also those results could still come with Levis making progress. That is possible.
Sure.
So, if they're losing close games and maybe Levis and the offense are getting better, but the defense gets worse, whatever it is, there's still different ways it could happen. But either way, you're still going to be talking about you're one of the worst teams in the league. And so we're not, the season takes on less meaning. The week after week takes on less meaning. So you win this, and then you at least have the Colts coming in a big game after a break, and you can get yourself somewhat close to the human race.
Well, I think also Levis specifically, Levis needs something good to happen for him tonight. He needs a good performance, and I know that. He's talked about still being confident and that he's got all the confidence in the world in himself and his offense and his teammates and all that. And that's fine. And maybe he does, but at some point, if you trot yourself out there and it's just bad performance after bad performance after bad performance, and it just ends with losing all the time, that has to affect your psyche and affect your confidence at some point. Levis personally needs a good performance tonight. Yeah. Otherwise, I think you start to get in real danger of that.
He needs a game without a ridiculous turnover. Start there. Yeah. Now you could still have a game without a ridiculous turnover, lose, not play well, and it's not some great, but that's still a little bit of a yay. I mean, we got announcers hey, that turnover wasn't as bad as the other turnover. You
making progress.
So yeah, you need. He does. He needs it badly, because if this season's about Will Levis and it's going the way it is, at some point it's okay, well, we've found out about Will Levis. He needs to change that up big time tonight.
He does, and a big part of that is going to be, Ridley had a nice game against the Jets. Hopkins had a nice game against the Packers. Can you find a way to get them both going at the same time? That's what you envision with this offense, right? Is those two kind of being your key cogs in the passing game, along with Tyler Boyd sprinkled in there. But you need to find a way to get Ridley and Hopkins going at the same time. Now certainly you need one of them. You don't need both of them to fall off the table tonight. So you'll take, I guess, one if they have a great game. but it would be good to see not only Levis play well, but for them to find a way to get, Hopkins and Ridley to be productive in the same game, because then that shows you, all right, well, the offense may be starting to take a little bit of form into what you hoped it would be when you brought Ridley in.
Yeah. We've seen some Boyd too.
Yep.
In there. And they also need, they need that, and they need to get back to, I still think that their backs, that's a good tandem. Those are good football players. I mean, you gotta involve those guys. Like the last game, it was just non-existent, and there's a lot of factors in that, but they have too many good players on offense for it to be like this. Can you have a game where all of them have some role? That would probably help a lot.
No doubt about it. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans and the Dolphins coming up tonight on Monday Night Football. How much pressure is on this offense? What are your expectations for Will Levis in this game? We'll get to all that and more. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, broadcasting live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts on the Titans on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Jason in Dover talking about Levis. Says he's not going to get better until the offensive line gets better. And I mostly agree with that. But I said it last week. The line at this point is what it is, and you're hoping that the line does progress under Bill Callahan's tutelage as the season goes along here. But it's not going to change the evaluation. Like, if Levis doesn't play better than he's played, the evaluation at the end of the year is going to be he's not the Titans quarterback in the future. Like, it's got to get better. How much better does it have to get for him to continue to hold that title and then move into next year with him? I don't know. But I feel very confident in saying that it's got to be significantly better than what we've seen to this point.
Yeah, the line does not get – I give the line no credit, no partial credit even for any of the three giveaways in each of the first three games that led directly to touchdowns for the opposition. Two of them being actual touchdowns, the other one eventually leading to one. That's not the offensive. Yes, he was under duress in the first two, but like that you don't have to do what he did. That's just not on the offensive line. So I think they'll get better. It just you would think, going by Bill Callahan's history and everything, that they would. Right tackle is definitely, like, it just might be that spot where you have to help, but still, that is where it's like when you move Latham from right to left, it's like, the quarterback's blind side. It's still better for the quarterback to be able to see where the issue is than to not on some plays, right? So there's that. But you're right. Ultimately, like, this doesn't give Levis a pass for the season. He has to work around it as best he can. He has good skill players around him. And Brian Callahan also has to help him as well. But at some point, that you're right, it is the evaluation. And you know what? Maybe if it doesn't work out for Levis, maybe he's Sam Darnold in 3 years.
Maybe.
Who knows? But this is a year that you're trying to figure it out. And he I think, can play better, but he has to, on his own, take everything else out of the equation, has to play better.
There's no doubt. And one thing, too, that has been a little disappointing with the offense as a whole, I thought they would be better than they have been in, like, the quick passing game, right? Like the ability to take a 3-step drop and get open. And look, you're never going to make, or I shouldn't say never, but you're rarely going to make like 60-yard plays doing that. But like creating some missed tackles, getting the ball to either Calvin Ridley or Tyler Boyd, and, very quickly the ball's out. You get a quick 5-yard pass and they turn it into a 15, 20-yard gain. It's happened a couple of times, but that has not happened to the degree in which I probably expected it heading into the year. Is like your receiver catching the ball quickly and making a big play, getting the ball out, knowing exactly where you're going with it, and then moving the ball down the field that way. Like it doesn't all have to be, the offensive line holding up in protection for 5 seconds and you throwing the ball 35 yards down the field. It'd be great if you could do that more. But like in the meantime, let's start executing the short passing game to a little bit higher level than they have to this point.
Right. Yeah, and that's, that is one thing Brian Callahan talked about. I think it was after the last game, the sort of maybe he could have called more quick game, but he didn't. And so, that some of that is his decision making and all that stuff. They've had good drives. They've had good drives where it was clicking, where they got the ball out like the first drive against the Packers was perfect. That's your scripted drive or whatever, but they've had glimpses of it, but then they'll go through stretches of just futility.
And it can't all be quick game too, right? I mean, look, they threw a pick 6 on a quick game play last week, right? Like it was a 3-step drop and Levis just fired one and Jair Alexander took it in the back of the end zone. So like they've made some mistakes in that as well. And you do have to read the defense and know where you're going with the ball and be confident that you're throwing the ball to the right place. So it's not as simple as just, all right, throw the quick passes. I get that. But they've not been as proficient in that area as I maybe expected for them heading into the year.
Yeah, look, I mean, you've got to scheme around your weaknesses and find matchups and play to your strengths, and so that's all. You know, we're finding out about a quarterback, and we're finding out about coaching staff too. So you want to see it all come together more, and it does start with their plan and how they want to. Like we've talked about already, the right tackle who's playing, but then also like. Can Bill Callahan get these guys? Someone pointed out here, Jason and Dover, that the Browns O-line looks bad without Callahan. Yeah. They've also had more injuries too, but it's, I mean, I have no idea if they would look vastly different if he were up there. But I know that the Titans line, I still think that there's too much talent on this line for it to play the way it has. So can that get better? Can the plan work better, and then can your quarterback play better? But yeah, like all the guys that you have catching passes, can you get them all playing well in one game?
Yeah, I mean that's you need to start to see some progress in terms of it all coming together now. How much of this is competition? How much of it is just the way that the games have played out to this point? But I agree with you. Like I think running the football should be a big part of what they try to do tonight as well. And it was basically non-existent last week. I mean, they had 11 carries as a team for 33 yards. Like that ain't gonna get it done. So it's got to be better than that. And you look at the Dolphins to this point, they're right around, I guess, middle of the pack, bottom of the middle of the pack. They're getting up 112 yards per game on the ground. So not a bad run defense, not an elite run defense, but it'd be great if you could try to get them to really move the ball on the ground tonight, and maybe that sets up your passing game a little bit better than it has the last couple of weeks here.
I mean, Will Levis is, the numbers say, I mean, he's a play action quarterback. It's a big deal for him to be able to operate and play action. You can do that without running successfully, but man, if you can run it all, it certainly helps. And yeah, like I just all through camp, and even again, go back to like the opener, against Chicago, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a running football team. That's what I've thought all along. Like this has to be a running football team. That's where I think Latham and Skronsky at times can be really effective as a tandem in the run game. And it just, I saw Nick Sirianni got asked yesterday about like Saquon Barkley getting 2 carries in the first 3 series.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, 3 and out. So on 3rd and long, you're passing 3 times. So there's 6 plays. Could he have gotten it more? Still, you could say, sure. I mean, okay, 2 out of 6. But the point, and he made a correct point. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, if you're doing nothing and you're just, and you're just punting the ball and you're going 3 and out, then you're not going to get anything going. But man, I feel like they have to emphasize running the football, not just tonight, but the rest of the season. I mean, it should be one of the things they do best.
It should be. Well,
and I know this is coming after the Derrick Henry game, so people are
a few people
understandably, missing the king right now.
Yes, after a 199-yard performance last night where he got 87 on one play. It was fun to watch, but it'd be cool if like Tony Pollard could do that tonight. Not expecting an 87-yard run.
I mean, a few 8-yard runs.
That would be nice.
Would be good. Stack those together a little bit.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get into the defensive side of things. Titans defense got embarrassed last week. Let's call it what it is. They got embarrassed by Malik Willis. Can they avoid the same fate tonight against Tyler Snoop Huntley? We'll get into that. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rex Road, Nick Keyser, intern Robert here with you on this Monday morning. It is game day for the Tennessee Titans. Monday Night Football. I guess it's Monday night doubleheader tonight, which I just despise. That's what it is. The Seahawks and the Lions, the Titans and the Dolphins coming tonight in the National Football League. We'll take your thoughts on all that. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit. We'll get into that matchup with him as well. They keep showing the Derrick Henry run from last night on the TV up here. He looks fast, man. He looked fast on that play.
That was freaking awesome.
It was.
Guy's unbelievable.
He is 24 for 199 last night for him in a Baltimore Ravens jersey. Sure, that's going over well with Titans fans. Speaking of that, let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in, Adam in Portland. Adam, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Robbie, man, I still love him. I always said since the very beginning, I hope he runs for 300 yards a game and the Ravens manage to lose the game. And I stand by that. That's how much I hate the Ravens and how much I love Derrick Henry. Even my wife, who knows nothing about football, is like, good for him. I love him. He's a great guy. Yeah, exactly. Like nobody's ever seen anything wrong with him. And if he has lost a step, that's scary because he was still the fastest person on the field. He's still the strongest person on the field, like no doubt. I just feel like there has to be something said from Titans fans on this because my page is freaking out. Like, you should have kept him. I'm like, no, you shouldn't have. And that because they still gave him 25 carries last night, and you have to give him carries like for the most part. I mean, plus the first runoff, but usually you have to devise a whole game plan around him. So I can still love him and be happy he is where he is right now. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yep. Thanks for the call, Adam. I mean,
You thought Adam was about to
I
flip
thought Adam
out.
was about to freak out.
You thought Adam was about to flip out on the Titans.
I did. I thought that was going to happen.
There's some people in the text line who are upset. I haven't checked the YouTube chat. How's that going? YouTube chat?
Not
YouTube
flowing as
chatter?
much today. We need people to start getting in there.
not
Chef
flowing.
Rand, where are you?
Yeah, Chef Rand, come on.
It's game day.
Seriously, man, let's go here.
Like our Titans fans already beaten down. Like, oh yeah, it is game day. Great.
Your team's 0-3. It's not the end of the world. Your team has a better record than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That
If
is
I
true.
told you before the season that on September 30th your team would have a better record than Jacksonville Jaguars, you'd probably be like, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
So
here you are.
The Derrick Henry thing, it's amazing what he did last night. I mean, I think that's like 350 yards in the last 2 games. He leads the NFL in rushing. It's awesome. But I think that's hopefully you could still get why, he's not. First of all, again, like I feel like Derrick Henry was looking forward to taking another shot on the open market. So, like, I think some people look at this like, someone texted about, like, we got nothing like a bag of balls from him. It wasn't a trade. He was a free agent.
Right.
I think some people look at this like the Titans are the only decision maker in that process of him not being here. And that's a flawed way to look at it. Yes. Could the Titans have gone, bent over backwards and be like, please take this extension and made it so good that he couldn't refuse? Yeah. But I don't think that would have been the right thing to do.
No. And again, I think he clearly felt like the opportunity to win elsewhere was better than it was here. And turns out he's probably right about that.
He'd like to get a ring. No one's getting a ring here anytime soon. And he knows that. So, could this season but I mean, if you're him at this stage of his career and you look at the Ravens getting to the AFC title game and not being able to run the ball at all against the Chiefs in the AFC title game.
Yeah. Well, last night was a perfect example, right? Now, 87-yard run aside, obviously you take that anytime. But the last 2 weeks, right, like he has dominated and they've been able to get up quickly in those games. I still have the same question with them that I had last year and that I've had earlier this year. Like when they're down in games, can they come back? Like can Lamar, Rex Ryan's on TV right now and he just called the Ravens the best team in the NFL, which I don't know that I'm quite willing to go there, but that's what he said. He just called them the best team in the NFL. Well, in order to be that, like, when you're down 10 points, can you come back and win that game?
Sure.
Against a good team, like in a playoff setting, can you do that?
And so that's going to be, that's the thing. That's going to be the question.
Yep.
until Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl, like that, like there will be that question, right?
Sure.
There's plenty of other QBs in this league who haven't won one either. But yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I still think that, like I heard people say, well, they already ran the ball well, so what's adding Derrick Henry do? Well, it does something.
Helps.
They're better. They have a guy who can run for 199 yards and get you an 87-yard touchdown with him. They did not have that before, so they're just more dangerous. But yeah, that you're right. That's still the question with them.
Well, but I mean, right now, I think clearly week one, number one, they played a really good defense against Kansas City, and they've, they honed in on trying to slow him down. Ever since then, I think he's had an 84-yard game, 150-yard game, and now a 199-yard game. So they're starting to figure out, I think, the best way to use him. And last night was a little bit different. Like, you're probably not going to see him get, 24 carries every week, but last night they got out to the lead and they were able to hand him the ball a lot. What's it going to look like in games where, he only gets 12 to 15 carries? We'll see. But I mean, so far, he's off to a great start in Baltimore. Like, for those who thought he was going to go there and just totally fall off the table, doesn't look like it's going to happen.
He's a great player, and he's, I think, 20 some yards from 10,000 now.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer, and more and more, it's just like he's just one of those guys who does not go by the regular timeline of the running back, right? I mean, and I think a lot of that is what he does to prepare for seasons and things like that. But it's really something to see. By the way, Lamar Jackson, I just saw the thing up there on ESPN, the highest winning percentage ever for a quarterback in primetime games since the merger. This means Stilly thinks he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Stilly, who said he definitely would not be an NFL quarterback when he came out of Stilly's alma mater. Does he think he's the greatest quarterback in the NFL now?
The anti-Tua.
It's all about time of day.
That
when
game
you do
starts
something,
at
right?
7. You can pretty much chalk up a W for Lamar Jackson. I like it. By the way, Derrick Henry is 18 yards away from 10,000 for his career.
There we go.
And he is 5 touchdowns away from 100 on the ground. So some impressive milestones in the not too distant future for Derrick Henry, just in terms of the statistical part of it.
Who's the next 10,000-yard running back?
That's a good question. With the way the game's going right now, is there a next one? I'm sure somebody will get there.
Yeah, like could a guy it's like
Saquon?
Like a Saquon Barkley. Does he have a stretch of health and some huge seasons? Maybe. But I don't think we're going to see a lot. I don't think we're going to see a lot of 10,000-yard rushers, the way teams are typically so committed now to really sharing that load in the backfield.
I mean, Saquon is 27 right now, so he's still got some time left. He's still only at 5,600 yards. He's got, over 4,000 yards still left to go get.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could get another 1,000 of that this year.
Yep.
The way he's playing. But I don't know, man. Then it's going to be, to me, that achievement alone should stand out for for Derrick.
Not Jared.
Not Jared.
Jarek. Yes.
Combine them into
what
one superstar.
I'm sure Derrick would
Specimen.
love that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get back into the Titans and Dolphins coming up next. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on the Titans and Dolphins coming up tonight on Monday Night Football. Joe, we saw the last time the Titans played Malik Willis come in here and roll right through that Titans defense. You got Tyler Huntley tonight. Now, in fairness, Tyler Huntley, technically, a Pro Bowl quarterback, a former Pro Bowl quarterback, which kind of tells you all you need to know
That's right.
about the current state of the Pro Bowl.
That's amazing.
But he will be starting for the Dolphins tonight on Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I guess he's technically like a third-string quarterback in the league right now. So this is a game that if you're the Titans, you need to find a way to go out there and win with Tyler Huntley being the starting quarterback. I think the defense should have a chance to play well in this game. Now, having said that, they do still have Tyreek Hill.
Sure.
And they do still have Jalen Waddle. And those guys, regardless of who the quarterback is, are very fast and can be a problem in terms of getting open. So what do you make of the challenge in front of the Titans tonight with Tyler Huntley as the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins? And what happens? What's the reaction if Tyler Huntley goes out and lights up this Titans defense like Malik Willis did last week?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you would hope that, even though it's not the exact same game plan, but you would hope that playing that game helps you for this game. And I don't know, like during the week last week, like when the Dolphins announced Saturday that it was Huntley for sure, is that, or the Titans, oh, we got to do, coaches, like we got to, I mean, they had to be pretty somewhat prepared for this to be the case.
I would think so.
So, yeah, some of it is like assignment football, and it's just, they should be well built to deal with it. It's just, do you let the ball get over your head? You cannot do that. You cannot let those huge plays happen downfield. But stopping the run, the Dolphins, not only do they now have Huntley as a part of that, look, their running game, their creativity, their talent, it's good. I mean, the Dolphins probably are like, if we can get 200 yards tonight on the ground, then we can win the football game. 200 yards is a lot in an NFL game. I understand Derrick Henry just did it on his own last night, but that is a big number in the NFL. And
another test
you just
tonight.
have to tackle it. That tackling was bad last game.
Yeah.
There's something to improve on. Just tackle.
Another test tonight for the nobody runs the ball on the Tennessee Titans mantra. We're going to find out again tonight if the Miami Dolphins run the ball on Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, the statement this week was something about like Aaron Brewer.
Yeah, well, I forgot about that. The Aaron Brewer revenge game.
I know Aaron Brewer's tendencies or whatever.
Yeah.
That little guy. Did Jeff say that? He didn't say that. I said that.
He may have insinuated it, though.
Little mini Aaron Brewer. Like
it will be kind of funny.
Like little Penny out there
to watch
snapping
Aaron Brewer go up against like Tavondre Sweat tonight. That'll be pretty funny.
That is, yeah. And that, I mean, seriously, that's the one thing. Aaron Brewer, I think Aaron Brewer totally makes sense for the Dolphins scheme because he absolutely gets to the second level. He's athletic.
Yeah.
Like he has good things about his game. His PFF grade is pretty good last year. But as we saw here, when he would play an athletic, huge guy,
it's tough.
Then there were times when he would just get gobbled up. So, yeah, you would think that might happen sometimes tonight for the Titans.
I would also guarantee you that the Dolphins are probably looking at the film, and TD talked about this with us on Friday, and they're going to try to run outside and try to get to the edge running the football. And can the Titans stop that? Can they slow that down? And look, Huntley's probably going to be a part of that tonight too. I think it's a good point by you. But look, the Dolphins are favored in this game. We talked about this, Huntley being the quarterback, and the Titans need to find a way to go out there and win, and they do. Like, I stand by all those things. The Dolphins are the favorite. Now, they are at home, and you can give 2 or 3 or whatever you want to give for that. But they're 2.5-point favorites tonight against the Titans.
Yeah, and that says probably a lot about the Titans.
Yes.
And how people view the Titans. So, look, I think the Titans should win. I'm already on the record. You and I both, right? I'm Pigskin Pick'em.
We were. Which,
by the way, we all missed our locks this week. And you and I will both go 4-2 if the Titans win tonight.
Yeah, we will.
We'll go 2-4. So, little update on that. But no, that's what they are. That's what they've been so far. But to me, they should win this game. They should be better against the run. They should be better equipped. Don't give up the 75-yard touchdown. And then obviously you've played much better offense. But I think it's possible for them to play much better offense.
Well, I think it is too, but also, it's not Tua out there throwing him the ball. I get it. So does Huntley, are there deeper passing plays that Huntley's going to be able to connect on tonight? We'll see. But this is a big test for like Snead, right? And McCreary and that secondary going up against Waddle and Hill. Like those two guys specifically can put a lot of stress on the defense. We've seen that. How do they use those guys tonight? That's the thing. We talk about the Titans going into Miami last year and winning that game. Well, Tyreek Hill wasn't a big part of it. He got hurt in that game, and I think tried to come back in a little bit later, but it just wasn't quite going for him in that one. Nothing wrong with Tyreek Hill hitting into this one. So can the Titans contain him? They didn't get a long look at him a year ago.
Speaking of one-arm push-ups, bet you Tyreek Hill would like to get after L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah, but
after the press coverage snap that I've seen replayed about 1,000 times. So, yeah, look, the Titans spent what they spent, and part of what they spent is, and I know that was a trade, but part of what they did in the offseason was so that they can actually match up in situations like this. So let's see it. And against a quarterback who's not as good as the starting quarterback, Tua, who's good, by the way. You would think that you'd be able to hold the score down.
Maybe a net positive for the Dolphins tonight. The game's at night.
That is
and we
true.
know that could be bad news for Tua.
That is very true.
Game's at 7:15 down there.
Will Levis 1-0 against Tua in primetime. So that's just what it is.
Yes, that is what it is. I'm really interested to see how the defense responds. Like the defense, I'm with you, played winning football the first 2 weeks for the most part. Now, could they have made one more stop against the Jets? Yeah, sure. Yes. But for the most part, they've played good enough to win in the first 2 weeks. They did not play good enough to win last week. So was the first 2 weeks more of a mirage? Was last week the mirage? Like, can you find a way to get back to playing really good defense tonight? Because if you can, you should win the game. Like, if you can shut down that offense and shut down Tyler Huntley and not allow any big plays, the offense should be good enough for you to win the game. If they're not, then we got a whole other list of problems to talk about tomorrow on the show with a fourth consecutive bad performance from the offense. But like the defense, I'm looking for them to respond. There's too many guys out there that we know are good players that have played good football for them to get shelled the way they did last week by Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Can't let that happen again.
For sure. Yeah, and I just look, he played great. It was game plan by the Packers. Like Packers get a lot of credit for it, but there's some bad tackling too that just was some people who, like McCreary had a tough game. I know he's good. McCreary's a good football player. And also Simmons and Sweat, like I still think that it all starts there, and they have to really disrupt consistently for everything else to work. You talk about running outside, setting the edge. That's where Arden Key is a weak link on this. Got to be better. So that's, if anybody watching film of the Titans, they're looking at Arden Key, and like that's where you want to run, and you can get him. You can put him in bad situations. The linebackers, the inside linebackers, I think it's looked pretty good at times, with Murray and Jones this year. This should be pretty good tandem, but none of it looked great last week. I think there's a pretty good chance of a significant bounce back from the D tonight.
I'm just looking at Tyler Huntley's numbers, and I know what the answer is because nobody wants to play in the Pro Bowl anymore. So eventually you get down the list far enough and somebody's a Pro Bowl quarterback. But it is, like, I want to read you. He made the Pro Bowl in 2022. This is his numbers. He played in 6 games. He completed 67% of his passes, so not bad. Okay. 2 touchdowns through the air, 3 interceptions, 658 yards. Pro Bowl.
Sure. It's on the resume, man. Pro Bowl quarterback.
He was the one when he got named to the Pro Bowl where I was just like, why are we doing this anymore? Like, why is this even a thing? I can't remember if that one was like the first one that was flag football or whatever it was, but Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowl quarterback, Titans are taking on tonight.
Has Tua made a Pro Bowl?
I don't know.
They've upgraded. The Dolphins have upgraded to a Pro Bowl quarterback.
The Titans are in big trouble playing a Pro Bowl quarterback tonight. Let's see here. Tua has made 1 Pro Bowl.
Okay. So
in 2023.
All right, you get 1 Pro Bowl, 1 Pro Bowl. I don't see any difference.
Not much of a drop off. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. More of your thoughts on the Titans and the Dolphins coming up next. We'll have the Rex Rant at 7:45. Corey Curtis coming up at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text line, which as always are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Monday Night Football coming up tonight between the Titans and the Dolphins. Tyler Huntley, the expected quarterback for the Dolphins tonight. So we get a nice Will Levis versus Tyler Huntley matchup tonight. Speaking of tonight, join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks in Madison for a Monday Night Football edition of the pregame show from 4 to 6. They'll break down the Titans' Week 4 matchup against the Dolphins, give you the latest updates before the game. Pregame show presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment, Sundeck Nashville, Sloan's Motorcycle ATV, and award-winning Blue Note Juke Joint and Blue Note Crossroads Bourbon. So the Titans trying to avoid an 0-4 start. Jacksonville did fall to 0-4 yesterday. So if the Titans do lose tonight, it'll be Jacksonville and the Titans as the only teams in the league without a win. That is the case right now. Cincinnati won yesterday, so they got their first win of the year. And now the Titans trying to join them in the win column to leave the lowly Jags as the only team in the National Football League without a win. And I said it earlier, Joe, they need it. Like, they need it just from a psychological standpoint to get a win before you're off next week. You got a big game coming up in the division after that. It's a little bit less of a big game if you fall to 0-4. Like, if you get to 1-3, you can talk yourself into, well, you beat Indy. You're at 2-3. You're right there with them in the standings. You're still going to be ahead of Jacksonville, and you're hanging around a little bit in the division. You lose tonight, it's hard to sell that at 0-4.
Yeah, there's a big difference, a big difference between winning and losing this game tonight in terms of holding on to some hope, having some positivity. If you win, that means some of the things we're talking about have gotten better, whether it be Levis not giving touchdowns to the other team, the offensive line starting to look functional.
Yep.
Maybe the defense, again, kind of returning. Maybe the defense shows that, like, the Packers game was a little bit more the aberration than the expectation moving forward. I mean, at least some of those things are probably going to work out. So you can build on that. You could get to 2-3, and then you see from there. The schedule is, again, unforgiving. It's hard for me to imagine the Titans being better than 2-5 after 7 at this point. Look in the schedule, it's hard to get there, but try to get to 1 and then try to get to 2, and then see what happens. But if you lose this one, then you could really go down the rabbit hole of when will this team win a football game?
Yeah, no doubt. Caleb on the text line, can we get a prediction for viewership numbers for the 2 games tonight? I think it's going to be drastically different. LOL. I will say I'm very interested to see what that looks like. Like, what are the numbers for Seahawks Lions, and then what are the national numbers for the Titans and Dolphins with Will Levis versus Tyler Huntley at quarterback?
Yeah, well, the Titans Dolphins do get a 45-minute head start.
They do,
so they got that going for them. So they'll get decent numbers. I imagine there'll be quite a bit of turning away from this one to the other one. I just really hate this doubleheader thing.
It's so dumb. I don't like it.
Yeah, just not a fan. What is the announcing crew, by the way, for Titans Dolphins?
Well, I think Chris Fowler's on it because he was cracking jokes about it on the Georgia Alabama broadcast. Will Titans and Dolphins live up to this on Monday night? Probably not. I think he's on one of the calls tonight.
Okay. So Fowler and like Riddick,
Louis
maybe?
Riddick, probably.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's not bad. Yeah. I would imagine though that the other game probably outrates it. But who knows? This could be the better game.
It could be. The Lions could just
Seahawks might blow.
See, I knew you were going to go that way. Seahawks might walk in there and just destroy the Lions. You never know.
That'd be my guess.
Wow. I'm interested to see what that looks like too. Look, the Titans, more than obviously the number one thing is getting the win. The fan base, I think, is starving. Give me something that's fun to watch. Give me something that I enjoy. Like the Miami game last year was fun, right? Like Levis coming back and, he had the turnover early in the game that led to the pick 6. And then he came back and those last 2 drives were fun. Give me a game offensively that's fun to watch. Because we've talked about this. It's not just the losing. The losing is bad enough. But it's the losing and looking just totally inept on that side of the ball that has just been the double whammy for Titans fans. To the point where, like, I've got some friends that are really good Titans fans that have told me, like, it's hard to watch. Like, I'll do it because I love the Titans, but it's hard to watch. Like, it doesn't keep my attention all that well. And, like, that's part of, Brian Callahan's talked about that too. Like, it's about it's an entertainment business, and you're there to entertain. You're there to have a fun product to watch. And yes, that means winning, but it also means playing some competent offensive football in a league where competent offensive football has become like the baseline of expectation. And the Titans have not been able to get there for the last 2 years.
So as soon as you say those words, I'm looking at Broncos 10, Jets 9.
Yeah, I know.
There has been a lot less competent offensive play in the league this year.
There has.
It's amazing how I have thought at times, I wonder if it'll ever go back. Like, I wonder if the defensive guys will ever catch up. Well, they always do. They always figure something out, and then you gotta, but I do think some of that is just. I think some of that is we almost have an offensive lineman shortage crisis in football.
Yeah.
But to your point, the Titans hired a guy who is brought here to be a quarterback whisperer and a schemer and a play caller, and that's where you want to see. I think we've seen pretty decent things at times for Brian Callahan as a play caller. And again, sometimes it's like, I don't know, because either the offensive line is just not doing its job at all, or the quarterback's doing stupid things, or both.
Yeah.
But it still starts there too. Like, figure out what you can do, where your weaknesses are, how you can hide your weaknesses. If you have to help and chip at right tackle, I'm sure that's what they're going to do. They have to chip at right tackle all night. But, you have some strengths too. And I think, like, when it comes down to it, you got to run the football in this game and in any of these games ahead. You have to be committed to it. In the last game, they're behind multiple scores and stuff like that. But I think they got away from it a little bit more than they should have.
I think so too. I mean, get to 20. If they don't get to 20 tonight, I'm not even asking for 30.
What if they win
30?
What if they win 17-16?
It's been like, I don't care.
It doesn't count.
I mean, it counts. It counts, but it doesn't make me feel a whole lot better. Get to 20. Like, I'm not even talking about 30 anymore. It's been over 1,000 days since this Titans team has gotten to 30 in an actual, like, regular season football game, which is pretty wild to kind of think about.
It's a long time.
Let's get to 20. Am I asking too much for like 25?
Yeah,
we might throw a party.
Yeah,
if we get to 25.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you get to 20, that's a big step. I think that's a fair goal, and I think if you get to 20, I think you'll win. I mean,
Not a believer.
All
in
due respect to Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley, but yeah, I think that's probably a winning total. What's the over under on this game?
Are we supposed to call him Tyler or Snoop?
Yeah, I didn't realize that his nickname was Snoop. Has that been?
I don't know.
Is it like the Pharaoh?
Are they going to call him
Tom Brady the Pharaoh? Like, I never had any idea that was actually his nickname.
Trevor
supposedly,
Lawrence, the prince who was promised.
Yeah, promised.
Looking good.
Promised
to answer your question, the over under in tonight's game is 37.5. So great. That'll be awesome.
37.5.
So I mean, I guess that could speak real nicely to a nice, 20-17 final there.
Yeah, and you still hit the under.
Yeah.
You win 20-17.
37.5.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the other game, Seahawks Lions 46.5.
Wow.
Both courtesy of the FanDuel Sportsbook.
Okay. 10-point difference. Yeah. I guess I'm not that surprised when I hear that. Cole from Nashville says it needs to be studied, Joe. I'm with you. The first 3 series look impressive. Then one thing goes to hell and Callahan starts calling routes to, he said Trenton Burks, but you mean Traylon Burks. I got you. I don't really understand it. I understand first 2 drives pretty scripted. There's a major drop off in play calling midway through the second quarter. They did have a good touchdown drive in the second half in the last game. Of the positives of the last time they played football, they did have a good drive when I thought maybe they were going to get back in the game. Then the defense failed them. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, their success has been early offensively. It's good to have that. It's good to have the ability to script drives based on what you know of the opponent, pick good stuff, and execute and score, right?
Sure.
But yes, they have had, and again, this crosses tenures and coaches and GMs. They just have had this long-running inability to score anything in the second half of football games. Just incredible.
It's pretty wild. It really is. Now, the good news is, last time they were in Miami, they scored a couple times in the second half.
That is true.
I mean, it's got to, if you go through like the Titans list the last 2 years, it's got to be near the top of second half point production that they had in Miami last year.
Well, I mean, if you forgot,
which is what, like 14, 17?
Yeah, and like the ESPN, win probability, I think it was like 90-some% Dolphins. It was over. And they had 2 late drives for touchdowns. So yeah. Right now, that is the highlight of Will Levis's, that in the Falcons game last year. So
yeah.
See if you can recapture some of that magic.
Well, sometimes it takes going back to the place where you've had some success before. Maybe there's some confidence that comes with that. I don't know. I'm reaching right now to try to find a way to get this thing to 25 points.
Yeah,
That's my goal.
Yeah, it is 20. Set it at 20, okay?
It's going to be so depressing.
That would be now I want to look at the scores around the league. My computer is taking 10 minutes to load up any websites. It's like I've got AOL 1998.
Justin says, guys, if we could have seen a decent offense in a total game and still lost, it'd be much easier to swallow 0-3. I agree. Like that's why I say it's not just the losing.
Yes.
The losing is bad. And look, there would reach a point where if the Titans were losing games, 30-27 or 35-31, where we'd say, y'all plan on playing defense at any point? Like we'd get there pretty quickly. But
like 20,
that's certainly a much more entertaining product to watch than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean
it's the double whammy.
The 2020 Titans really struggled on D. They had no pass rush at all, but they scored 31 points a game. So they won the division. And they were fun to watch every week.
When's the last time this team was fun to watch? Miami game last year?
I still think that they were like in an individual moment.
I mean, let's go for a sustained period of time. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I am looking at the scores. Yeah, scoring is down. There's a lot of low scores out there. But the Niners got 30, Commanders got 42. I mean, you got a 17-10 game over there. You got a 20-16 game. I mean, it has gone that way. The defenses are kind of winning, but they, if you're the Titan, but there's still a lot of teams in the 20s. And again, that's all that's being asked here is to hit the 2-0.
This has been we'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Titans and the Dolphins. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on the matchup tonight for the two-tone blue. You're listening to Robbie and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robbie and Rex Road.
Ready? Break down. Set. Give it to me. Bow. Bow. Go set. You're a Bentley right now. I'm just going to put spinners on that thing.
Doesn't mean anything. I mean, this is recruiting propaganda, you must be from Tennessee. So you can ask the bottle, but don't ask me.
It is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexroad. You can check it out every morning here on the program. Joseph, the floor is yours.
All right, first of all, we haven't talked about what you did on your birthday. Did you have a good birthday? Robbie's birthday was Saturday.
I did. I had a great birthday.
Okay.
I threw my mother a surprise party for her birthday for next week.
Oh,
We had a lot of people gathered at the house, so we kind of did 2 for 1.
that's okay. So your mom's birthday is like a week after yours?
Yeah.
So you use your birthday to surprise. So you
Yeah.
would never have any idea because it's your birthday that you would do a surprise party for her birthday.
That's correct. Well planned by
What
my
a
father.
selfless son you are.
I really am.
So you had the whole thing, like she shows up and people are ready to
Oh, yeah.
yell surprise.
yeah.
Wow. Nice job, man. Good for you.
I mean, I don't deserve much credit for it, but thank you.
Heather put this.
Heather
Yeah.
and my father. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I did what I was told.
Well done. And then he got the Alabama. Was he sweating out that Bama game, man?
Kind of.
Up
Again, I've said this
28
before. Like, he
nothing
was sweating out a little bit. Now I've said this before. Like, he is more of a fan of Tennessee losing than he is Alabama actually winning. But I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like he gets the most pleasure out of the misery of the Vols.
There's no doubt.
All right. Quick side rant as I'm going to reiterate from the 6 o'clock hour. We already have one goofball Harbaugh, okay, in the NFL. John Harbaugh, let Derrick Henry get one more yard. He has the record then for running backs with 200-yard games.
Yes.
Like, this is the Baltimore Ravens just got voted, but the athletic, we had a poll of front offices, number one front office, I believe, right?
Yes.
Number one front office in the NFL. It's a great organization. John Harbaugh has been a great coach. How did anyone on the sideline look around and say, hey, he's got 199 yards. If he gets another one, he will be the first back in NFL history to have 7 200-yard games.
Yeah.
Let's do that. How does this not happen? This is
I didn't see it.
This
I need
really
to go back
ticks me
and
off.
look at the way it all played out.
Yeah, I don't know situationally either, but I know that they had the ball.
Yeah.
And he didn't get a carry. So
You would think that would be
just
enough.
come
right
on,
there.
man. Yeah, you have to do that. But I do need to. I'm revisiting Nick Saban today, but it's bigger than Nick Saban. It was on game day. First of all, I don't know about you. I think Nick Saban's good on game day.
I agree.
Nick Saban's good on game day. He's funny. He and McAfee have a good little thing, and the film study stuff, as you knew it would be, is really good. He does a great job of really breaking it down. So it's a big. I mean, frankly, game day. Even though I'm not always the biggest McAfee fan, I think that the McAfee and Saban ads have overall been a net gain, and I like the show better. So, but they talk about the Matthew Sluka thing, which we talked about last week, and just a couple things. First of all, for all coaches who, whatever, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, whoever used to be in coaching at the highest level, like the Power 5 level, and especially the highest level, right? Yep. None of us think that players started getting paid when NIL came in. Nobody thinks that. Only idiots think that. So if you're going to talk about this situation and you're going to frame it like, well, guys, and I'm paraphrasing what Saban said, but, he basically was like, now we have players who are making decisions on where they're going to school on money rather than before when it – dude. We all know, anyone who's not an idiot knows that players, the highest level of players who are pursued by the top programs for decades and decades, and really you can go back more than 100 years, but I mean, especially, certainly decades, okay, have gotten a little more than room, board, and tuition, okay? It's not the same. It's a lot more money now, and the problem is, again, it's the movement. They did not have ability to just go here, go there, and play. But why are all the 5-star guys, especially, waiting to the very last minute? Why do they take it to signing day?
Yeah.
Why would you? And then there's 3 huge programs. There's Auburn and Georgia and Tennessee. And it goes down to the wire. What is, like, do you not have all the information on where you're going to go to school? Like, have you not talked to the coaches, done your visits? What is it that's causing these huge recruiting battles to go down to the wire? I mean, come on. Like, so first of all, let's have some honesty about what it was. No one cares anymore. Like, we're going to get more and more stories over time about what this program did and that program. And again, it's mostly just stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's, uncle's car and its bags and what I mean. Actually, at Alabama, way before Saban, we had some great stories over the years of. And again, it's all through college football. So let's not pretend that money has not been involved. But then beyond that, and this is specific to Saban, he said, "What has Matthew Sluka done to create value for himself?" And so, for anybody who doesn't know the story, quick recap: it's going to never be totally resolved with Sluka and UNLV. By the way, their backup came in and lit it up the other day, they're feeling good. He says they promised him $100,000. He only got $3,000. They said that's not true. Fine. The bottom line is, what did he do to create value is what Nick Saban says. So in Saban's mind, he's thinking about, and I get it, guys at Alabama with him or at Georgia, whatever. There is a bigger picture, which is we develop pros here and like come here and you're going to learn how to be ready for the next level and all that stuff. And of course, there's value in an education, all that stuff for sure. Well, Matthew Sluka has a degree. He has a college degree. And so he has one more year left to play football. So if he was able to get $100,000 to play college football, that's creating value. Most people aren't going to the NFL.
Yeah.
And he has an education. So he should be trying to create this value. And if you have $100,000 and when you leave college, he's not going to be an NFL player. That's value you created. Yes. What are we talking about here? It was just disappointing because this doesn't need to be like one side of this or one side of that, right? And that's what it turns into. It's like the media is all like, yeah, pay the players, everything's great, blah, blah, blah. And then coaches are like, this is terrible, this is awful. Guys, there's great points to be made about players just giving up on places and getting in the portal and getting screwed over and not having a place to go back to and not caring about their education. Like, those are all excellent points on the coaching side. We should all embrace those. But also, we're not going to stop this from people getting paid.
No.
And everybody's not the same, and people have got paid before.
The toothpaste is out of the tube, as they say, and
Right.
It has been for a while.
So, like, and I just feel, and there was some other good commentary, like McAfee, like, get a good agent, get things in writing, and Reese Davis, we're headed toward some kind of contracts. And Saban seems to think we're going to still go back to, well, once the revenue sharing happens, then we can get rid of the collectives and stuff. That's not happening, man.
No.
I feel like Nick Saban, who is I think he could be like a commissioner of college football. If you want to talk about like that job, even though there's still limitations on what that job would be, let's remember that the courts crush the NCAA every turn and, different presidents, all that stuff. But still, it would be good to have that. But he's got to be more brushed up on the reality of the situation.
No doubt about it. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next. Get his thoughts on the Titans and the Dolphins coming up tonight. Robbie and Rex Road, 1025, 1063, The Game. Welcome back in. Final hour, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rex Road, Nick Keyser, intern Robert here with you on this Monday morning. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey, good morning. How are you?
Delightful. How are you today?
Delightful for now. We'll see how I feel after watching the Titans and Dolphins tonight on Monday Night Football. Corey, I just looked this up because Rex Road asked the question, so I thought I'd look it up. It has been since week 17 of the 2021 season when they beat these Miami Dolphins 34-3. That's the last time they've scored 30 points in a game. They have 38 consecutive games without doing so. I've said this. It's not just the losing that's getting old. It's the lack of offense, the way they're losing. And so far this year, 17 points, and then 14 points.
Yeah.
What just this offense beyond the X's and O's of it, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. But how like in need, how starving do you think this franchise is for a game where they look competent offensively and can get at least close to 30 points, which in today's NFL, going 38 games without doing that is absurd.
Well, I mean, you would think they need some confidence at this point. I mean, and the best way to do that is, obviously not turn the ball over. Because they've had opportunities to score more points. I mean, even going back to last game, you're at the 30 when Levis gets killed and fumbles the football, and you've been moving down the field at a pretty good clip. It's about being able to succeed for extended periods of time without a mistake, and that's what they haven't been able to get past. Is just too many mistakes getting in their own way. And, most of those are breakdowns at the line of scrimmage. Some of them have been the quarterback, obviously, but, for the most part, if you've got to be able to win at the line of scrimmage consistently to have a chance.
So to that point, we're talking right tackle, Nicholas Petit-Frere gets replaced. Jalen Duncan comes in, and I would argue is objectively worse than him, and I think that's true in general. But then last week,
that's an argument.
Yeah, so last week, they're sort of talking. It could be either one. Meanwhile, there is John Ojukwu too. Kind of forgot about him. But someone asked about him on the text line. I'm like, look, I would throw him out there before Jalen Duncan for sure. But how do you think that plays out tonight? And if that's just going to be a problem all year, Corey, how much does that just limit what the upside is here with this offense?
Isn't Hubbard on somebody's practice squad right now?
I believe Arizona
Cardinals. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's better, isn't he? I mean,
previously from what we saw before. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we talked about all summer about bringing in a veteran to compete with those guys. And I guess they had, Christensen and Leroy Watson.
Yeah.
And neither of those guys were good enough to challenge, but you're absolutely right that Jalen Duncan is infinitely worse than Nicholas Petit-Frere. And, I think John Ojukwu is a willing combatant, but he just doesn't move laterally well enough, and they just go right around him. I mean, Jalen Harrell made a living in training camp going right around him. But he's on the team, so they must feel like he can play and can help them. So, they've got to find somebody there who's a willing combatant to come in and to win. You can't give free runs to the quarterback. And I know there's a lot of the league that's struggling up front right now. And we talked about how, what's that group like in week 8 compared to week 1? Because I didn't expect it to be finished and fixed in week 1. But they got to get better. They got to get better. And, J.C. Latham has gotten better. So there's one element that's gotten better, but the other guys have got to start to progress with him. But I think until then, you've got to focus on running the football, because traditionally guys do that better than pass protect. And, we saw them use 6 linemen. And I think they used it to some success last week. And no matter how much they want to run these pretty patterns that take a long time to develop and everything, if you can't block long enough to do it, you can't block long enough to do it yet. And, sometimes you got to simplify things down to what can we do, and just do those few things well until you're ready to expand on them.
So, Corey, last week they saw Malik Willis. Tonight they're seeing Tyler Huntley, and we'll see where things go with Anthony Richardson here in a couple weeks and whether or not they'll be seeing Joe Flacco. But bottom line is you're on a run of playing backup quarterbacks right now. You did not take advantage of it a week ago. If they don't take advantage of it tonight, how big of a blow is that for this team? Because you look on the horizon and there's Buffalo and Detroit coming up around the corner as well.
Well, I guess I look at it differently than everybody else. You guys think this is a Super Bowl team?
No.
Okay. So what I'm looking at is, what does this team have? How much better can they get? Can the quarterback play? Because that was the question we had coming into the season. Can the quarterback be the guy? And that's the question I still want to see answered. Because we've seen some red flags, come up with it. Obviously, the first 3 weeks. We've also seen some decent plays the first 3 weeks. And so I continue to try to see developmentally, what does this team have and what does it need to change? Does that mean I'm putting up the flag on the season? No, it doesn't. It just means my expectations are probably a little bit different.
So with this defense, Corey, you've got Jeff Simmons, you've got Tavondre Sweat, you've got Aaron Brewer on the other side. I guess Jeff Simmons kind of not really talk trash, but he sort of said he knows some things about Brewer. Better than last week's declaration that no one runs on the Titans. But should that not be tonight something we notice consistently, that those two guys are disrupting and making life easier for everybody else? And if not, how big a concern is that?
Isn't Jeff doubtful for the game?
Oh, shoot. That's right. Jeff Simmons. We didn't even talk about that. That is totally my fault. Yes.
Yeah.
The elbow thing with Jeff Simmons. That is,
No,
so, okay. Well, Tavondre Sweat, how about him? There's a lot on the rookie tonight.
And that was one area where you really wanted to see them take advantage of the football game, was in the trenches on the interior and really blow up the inside of that Miami line. And it's all on Tavondre Sweat now. He's got to be the guy, and he's got to do it. Now, I expect them to double team him all game long, especially with Jeffrey Simmons out. I mean, they're going to double team 93 virtually every play. At least they should. I can't believe they wouldn't. So he's going to have to, fight through it tonight and to make it happen, because, a 360-pound man on a 265-pound man is a little bit of a mismatch. And one you would have hoped with Simmons in the lineup that they could have taken advantage of. But it doesn't look like he's going to play, and I think that's a considerable loss for the Titans tonight. I mean, who they've got, Big 91. He's going to have to play, and he's going to have to produce. And he's shown some ability, but he's going to have to do it in an extended period tonight.
So on the offensive side, we saw a couple weeks ago against the Jets, Calvin Ridley have a good game. Last week, Hopkins got going a little bit. How important to get both of them going in the same time, not just for tonight, but for as this season continues to unfold, and in the evaluation of Will Levis, to get those two guys going at the same time.
Well, shoot, I mean, they make $40 million a year between the two of them.
Yep.
I mean, they both need to be producing. The question is it on them? Is it on the quarterback? You got Jalen Ramsey out there tonight, and he can only cover one of them. So you would think Levis would probably be looking in the other direction most of the time, because Ramsey's going to try to bait him into a throw. You know it. With what happened last week with the Packers, and with getting trucked by him last year on Monday Night Football, he wants to embarrass him tonight. He wants to house one tonight. So he's got to be cognizant of where Ramsey is and the fact that he's going to try to bait him into a throw. That doesn't mean he can be afraid to throw the football. He just needs to be aware of what the guy's going to try to do. And this is why you have more than one receiver. So they can't take one away and you're left with nothing. They're all there. They're all healthy. And he needs to be able to take, advantage of those guys. And I guess with Boyd, they make $48 million a year. They all need to be producing. I think it's pretty simple. We haven't talked about the tight ends much. We love to talk about them in the preseason. But doesn't it seem like games have started and they've gotten some footballs to the tight ends?
Yep.
They've run some plays to tight ends, and then that just goes away.
Yep.
And I find that curious. I don't know if that's by plan or what, but I think that they can do more with those guys also during the game.
Well, on the pass catching front, is it also time, dare I say, to see a little bit more NWI and a little less Traylon Burks?
Well, yeah, I think there's no question about it. I mean, we're at that point, right? I mean, I have been one who've been, he's been hurt, and he's shown flashes, but you're just at the point now where you can't trust it. You can't trust that the ball's going to come to him and he's going to catch it. And that's a problem for a receiver. Does that mean I think, Traylon Burks is terrible and can't ever be a good player in the league? No, but they're 0-3, and I don't trust him. And I do trust Nick Westbrook-Kine as much. And I hate to say it pains me to say, because you're always looking for someone better, and you always thought that Burks could be better. Well, he's not better until he shows it. And, we've seen him look good in camp, but that only gets you so far. He's had 3 weeks to make plays, and he's 0-3. And so I agree with you. It's time for your guy. It's time to bust out NWI and just let all hell break loose.
I mean, that could be the
Watch
missing
out,
ingredient for the Titans.
I mean, a really nice 4 for 38 performance.
That would help.
Great.
With some, when you throw in the blocking, factor in the
monster
blocking.
week for Burks if he put that up.
Well, look, you just know when the
best
ball
game of his career.
goes towards him, he's going to catch it, and that's a step forward.
Corey, we're looking forward to it tonight. Should be a fascinating one between the Titans and the Dolphins. Thanks so much for taking time to be with us today.
I am terrified of their ability to defend the read option.
Yeah.
Because last weekend the defensive ends just crashed on the running back and just let the quarterback run around. So we'll see if they fix that this week. But yeah, and congratulations on the Packers being tied with the Bears in the standings.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to be here.
Nice. I was hoping you get a Bears plug in there. Big win.
Bears.
Anytime they win a game, their fans start.
You know what? They got as many wins as the Packers.
That's true.
So
that is true.
And the Lions.
We'll find out tonight and see if the Lions can join us. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Corey Curtis from News 2 joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll continue to look ahead to the Titans and Dolphins coming up next. We will get back into Georgia, Alabama, and the weekend of college football later in the hour as well. All that coming up. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is from Nashville's largest axe-throwing venue, Bad Axe Throwing Nashville. Aim for a great time while enjoying curated cocktails from the full bar and Northwoods-inspired menu with a Southern twist. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get half off a $30 gift card while supplies last. Appreciate Corey Curtis from News 2 for being with us in the last segment. It will be the Titans and the Dolphins coming up tonight on Monday Night Football. I do have to point this out because I saw this last week. I was unaware that this person existed until I saw the injury report last week. Storm Duck, which has got to be in the short list of greatest names of all time for a football player. Storm Duck was been limited all week with a shoulder injury for the Dolphins. He was a full participant on Saturday, so it looks like Storm Duck going to be available for the Dolphins tonight against the Titans.
Kiss excellence.
Storm Duck is pretty good. That's a pretty strong name.
Storm Duck.
It's no General Booty, but Storm Duck is pretty strong. I got to shout out the YouTube chat because Spot Jenkins said Joe and his unbridled love for NWI, SMH. And then J. Rodney Turner said he has a point when compared to the Hog Hunter. I don't know why that made me laugh. The Hog Hunter.
I mean, has anybody followed up with Burks? Like, has this continued to be a part of his off-season training regimen, hunting the hogs?
I don't know.
With his bare hands?
Yeah, you would think that would, you think some of those hogs would be kind of slippery. You'd think that might be good with the pigskin.
Yeah.
Kim Dunaway says Jeff is doubtful. You guys should have led with that. Yes, Kim. That is actually totally my brain. Luckily, we didn't do a segment earlier analyzing like the Jeff Simmons, Aaron Brewer matchup. We did mention Jeff Simmons talked about Aaron Brewer.
We did.
But yes, that is a key thing that I totally forgot about this morning. It's Monday. Jeff's, doubtful is not technically out, but I can't remember the last time I saw a doubtful designation that turned into a guy playing. So
I can't recall one.
So
recently.
That's not great for the Titans, obviously, in this situation. Like Corey said, you have to play assignment football there. Definitely going to do some of that stuff. You have to be able to set the edge at times, and that, especially I think in Arden Key's side, that can be a problem. But one way to help you, really help you in any way defensively, is if you can get that push instantly in the interior, and now you take Simmons out of the mix. So there's a lot on Tavondre Sweat on his own to do some things tonight, and make some plays.
Jared texts me and says Storm Duck is from Louisville. He stinks. Good to know.
He stinks. Storm Duck sinks.
You play ball like a girl.
Storm Duck.
Storm Duck. So is this a case?
This has got to be like
just Duck as a last name is pretty awesome.
It's pretty great.
But like,
is his actual name Storm, or is this like one of those nicknames?
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those things. It's like, it's like, is his name actually Steven? But let's call him Storm. I'd like to go by Storm now.
I mean, all it says is there's Storm Duck all over the place.
His full name is Storm Chandler Duck.
So it's a real name.
Okay.
Well, that's even better.
Storm Duck.
I need him to be good. I need him to be a good player.
I mean, the bottom line is Storm Duck still made the NFL, so that's pretty awesome. So shout out to Storm Duck. Jared can diminish him all he wants. Jared also said his as I said earlier, his fellow Louisville alum Lamar Jackson would not play quarterback in the NFL. So good grasp on Louisville talent.
In other news on the injury front, the Dolphins have a long list. Now they've had a few that have come back during practice this week and appear to be okay, but Raheem Mostert with the chest is questionable. Skylar Thompson, obviously questionable. They've already said that Huntley's going to be the starter in this game, so you know that heading into it. Teron Armstead going to be out dealing with a concussion. So Dolphins going through some injury problems, obviously Tua and that as well. And then on the Titans front, L'Jarius Sneed, questionable. He was a full participant in practice on Friday, limited on Saturday, questionable. He's listed as rest with the injury. So I would assume that he's going to play in this game. Amani Hooker, questionable with a face injury.
Yeah, the face cut. I mean, he'll play. I'm quite sure, but it's actually, I meant to say that last week and forgot. I was like, I don't think I can remember an injury report that had face.
Face.
but he's got a nasty cut, so he's got to protect that. But I expect him to be out there. Is Storm Duck a top 5 all-time name? Jim Bob Cooter is being thrown into the mix as a.
I mean, Storm Duck's pretty good. Now, like you said,
Jim Bob Cooter is
gonna
pretty
be
good too.
Jim Bob Cooter's pretty good. General Booty is it's going to be hard to top. Like General
And that's
Booty.
a real name too, by the way.
Yeah, he's playing college football right now.
Yeah. No, he just played Arch Manning. That's not a made up name. That's actually his name, General Booty.
General Booty, and that one's hard to beat.
Yeah.
So no, it's not. It's not the top name ever, but it could be squarely in the top 10.
It's worth. Yeah, absolutely. It's in the God Sham God realm.
Yes, I forgot about that.
College
one too.
hoops.
Throw another one in there. Do we count He Hate Me in the XFL back in the day?
No, because that's a man.
He changed it, didn't he? Like legally.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean, it's like Ron Artest, Meta World Peace. I mean, I don't count that stuff. I'm talking given names,
birth certificate.
When you had nothing to say about it, and you're just squealing. You got to cut the cord. That's your name.
Yes, it is. A friend of mine just texted me and said, "Storm Duck, a mighty good name." Nice dad joke. Way to go.
Oh,
Mighty
okay.
Duck.
Sure.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, he's just booing it from the next room.
I think you should call that person out by name so we know who to blame.
Shout out to Chris Jones. 615-737-1025. Our phone
Chris
number.
Jones?
615-737-1025. We'll get into Georgia and Alabama, the weekend of college football coming up next. A wild one between the Dogs and the Tide. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Snap going to Milroe. Looking deep downfield, looking for Williams. Comes back, makes a catch, trying to split defenders. Makes them bang into each other. Stays on his feet, breaks a tackle, scores, scores, scores. Beck looking, firing towards the end zone. That is intercepted. It's picked off. It's picked off. Intercepted.
Sounds like some pandemonium going on in the booth with the Tide Rollers on Saturday night.
By the way, who is their play-by-play guy?
I
Now
don't
that
know.
Eli Gold's
I don't know
gone.
the answer.
Is there a big? I mean, I assume that was a big hire. Eli Gold did a great job for a long time.
That was an interesting call. It's an interception. Let's everyone throw the headphones down so we can all celebrate. Yeah. Great game Saturday night. It looked like it wasn't going to be a very good game for a long time. Alabama gets out to the 28-0 lead against Georgia, which was kind of stunning to watch. And then it was 30-7 at the half. Georgia comes storming all the way back and takes the lead late in the fourth quarter. And then Jalen Milroe, in the first clip that you heard there, fires one down the field to Ryan Williams, who, if you didn't hear on the broadcast, it's been mentioned about 1,000 times since he started playing football this year. He's 17 years old. 17 years old. And might be the greatest living football player I think I've ever seen. He's unbelievable. Great play by Ryan Williams there.
College football has to deal with that guy for another 2 2/3.
I'm not kidding you. He's 17 years old. He might be the best receiver in college football right now, and I would draft him. Like he's one of those guys that he probably doesn't need to play college football. Like I would draft him right now.
Yeah, he's a little slight. You know, he might go in the NFL right now and get beat up a little bit, but yeah,
you run past a few folks too.
Yes, no, he's unbelievable. And seriously, Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. I'm telling you, like there's not much different. He's incredible too, and actually more physical. Both those guys would be high picks, and they're freshmen, true freshmen in college. I mean, I've just been reading actually from like Jim Nagy, the Senior Bowl, saying that this is actually like a low, and then Dane Brugger following up the low. Oh shoot, I'm talking about the draft. I'm sorry. First round out, like a lot of low first round grades in this upcoming draft. So guys like that could probably come right in and go high, but they'll be in college football.
I mean, the play he made one play earlier in the game that wasn't a touchdown where Williams caught it, and he did like this, like basically half step. It was like a basketball move, like half step to the left, to the right, and then cut back left, and just froze whoever the Georgia defender was. And then that play there was just that spin move was unbelievable.
I mean, what a game! Like just really like just over a sobering blowout at the hands of the Bulldogs, and good for them for having some fight.
Yeah.
I feel like this happens sometimes in games. You know, you get especially an emotional game, you get a big lead and you kind of change what you're doing a little bit, and you're thinking clock a little bit, and the other team just sort of is just in comeback mode, and you're not gonna try to let the ball get over your head. So now they have some bigger windows to throw into, and on and on and on. Carson Beck was about as bad as Jalen Milroe was great in the first half. Carson Beck comes back and makes some big plays, but
he looked terrible in the first half.
He did. And Georgia, just all around, I don't know that this is, after that Clemson game, we were both kind of like, yep, there you go. Another season of Georgia football. I don't know. I think their D is good, but it's not elite. And then they don't have the playmakers they've always had. And they have unfortunately for them, they just have an unfairly tough schedule relative to some of the other of the top teams in the SEC.
They're going to go on the road still to Texas. This is after going on the road to Alabama. Got to go on the road to Ole Miss as well, which we'll see how Ole Miss responds after a loss to Kentucky. We'll get to that here in a second. And, of course, they got the home game against Tennessee as well. By the way, the AP poll is out. Georgia drops to 5 after that loss. Alabama moves up to number 1, Tennessee at 4. So that's kind of the pecking order of them right now. Arch with another performance and a win against Mississippi State yesterday for Texas as well. But look, I just thought a couple things about the Georgia-Alabama game. Number one, Alabama came out and they clearly just had a ton of energy and their defense looked great. Beck missed some throws. They dropped a couple passes. And before you turn around, I mean, Georgia was just getting killed in that game. And a big part of it was Milroe. Like Milroe was awesome in that game. And he's always had the speed and has been able to run, and he made some great plays with his legs in that game. but some of the balls that he put there were just on a dime. Just I thought he played great in that game. And to me, it's kind of him and Travis Hunter right now in the Heisman race. We're 4 weeks in, so there's still a long way to go. But that was a Heisman-esque performance from Milroe on Saturday night.
It was, which now that you mention it, I'm in charge this year of the Athletics Heisman poll. You'll be very excited to find out. And I've got a lot of the votes in, and he's prominent, although I wouldn't say he will lead the way. But I mean, right now, of the quarterbacks, he's the guy. This is an interesting year because Genty, did you see what he did the other night?
Sure did. He's good. He's really good.
This dude has 840 yards, 13 touchdowns rushing, 10.3 per carry. The 59-yard TD he had the other night, I know like Washington State is not like a defensive juggernaut, but I mean, he lit up Oregon too.
Oh, yeah.
On the road. Like he's going to be the first back taken. He's a first-round pick, I believe. And so you have him and Travis Hunter as non-traditional Heisman possibilities, which is exciting, but people probably just vote for the best quarterback in the best team.
Probably will happen.
But look, if Milroe, you're right. If Milroe is going to be that, then he should be right there, to win it, and then, I'm excited. I mean, what are we 3 weeks away? Milroe, Nico in Knoxville.
I did look,
boy.
I looked just for reference because whether Alabama lost or won or got hammered or they destroyed Georgia, I was going to be interested to see how the line moved. So I looked Saturday afternoon at like 2:00 for the Alabama-Tennessee line, and it was Alabama -1, and it has moved to Alabama -2.5. So some movement on the Alabama part of things after their big win against Georgia.
All right.
They look good. They look really good in that game.
They do. You give up some big plays for sure. And you don't like how that – I mean, that would have been an all-time awful loss to blow a 20. It would have been Georgia's biggest comeback ever.
Yep.
So to come right back out of the next play and Milroe just say, you know what, I'm going to go.
I'm going to throw
up top to Ryan Williams, see what happens. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But Bama, a worthwhile number one. I still, though, watching Alabama, everything I've seen from them, there's nothing I saw that tells me, oh, man, watch out, Tennessee. Like, it's going to be a great game. They can beat Tennessee for sure. But, like, that's going to be a good game.
I agree.
I don't look at Alabama and think they're, like, levels ahead of Tennessee.
Do you think differently of the Georgia matchup with Tennessee now that you've seen Georgia struggle for 2 weeks in a row?
I do. I know it's going to be at Georgia. And the thing about that game is that might be a more important game for Georgia than Tennessee.
Yep.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how even if Tennessee loses to Alabama, like they can lose the Georgia game and they can still get in. But Georgia may be at that point, like in win or else mode.
Well, I tell you what, October 19th in the SEC is setting up to be quite the day. You got Tennessee, Alabama on October the 19th, and you have Georgia and Texas. That's going to be a heck of a day.
So one of them is going to be like the midday. One of them is going to be primetime. Yeah, and that's the thing. So Georgia, again, like we were talking earlier, they have to go to Ole Miss too. It doesn't look as daunting because Ole Miss got exposed. The first real team they played, Kentucky, kicked their butt up front. Kentucky's defensive front won that game for them when it comes out. And one huge play, Mark Stoops decides, Mark Stoops won't go for it on like 4th and 3 from midfield against Georgia, but he will go for it like 4th and forever at his own 20 and get it on a bomb to Barron Brown. But that exposed Ole Miss. I still think Ole Miss, that's a tough game for Georgia. Texas is obviously a huge and very tough game. And so they could be sitting there with Tennessee coming in their place. And it's like, if you lose this game, you are not going to be one of the 12 playoff teams.
We are 2 weeks away from a 2-week stretch in college football that has the chance to be pretty unbelievable. October the 12th, it's Ohio State at Oregon. So you're talking about the number 3 team in the country and the number 6 team right now.
That's nice.
There's Florida, Tennessee, obviously. Penn State and USC is a good one on October the 12th. Ole Miss, LSU, and then also Texas, Oklahoma is on that day.
Red River.
And then the 19th, with what I just mentioned with Georgia and Texas and Tennessee, Alabama. I mean, that's a pretty good 2-week stretch of college football that we're closing in on. By the way, Miami, Louisville, October the 19th as well. Michigan and Illinois. A lot of good games coming up. Good games coming up in college football.
So Michigan is number 10, is that right?
Michigan is number 10.
They might be the worst top 10 team in the history of college football.
That's a hot take.
I mean, it's a hot take. I know that certainly there have been worse, but like they are gonna lose.
Well,
my God, they cannot throw
at this point.
They cannot throw a forward
because
pass.
I will say there was a point earlier this year, and it's hard to believe now. And I watched some of this game the other night where Florida State was a top 10 team, and I just watched them get smoked by SMU the other night.
That's true. Florida State was a top 10 team
They
at some
were.
point this year. I retract my statement.
They're awful.
They're terrible.
And they got to put somebody else in at quarterback. I don't care who. He's awful.
Yeah, that's too bad.
DJU's not. It's not going well.
Not going well for DJU.
Oh man,
it shouldn't go all on him.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
But he threw some deuces
But,
the other night.
Yeah, it's not good.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll take your thoughts on the weekend of college football. Our final thoughts on the Titans and the Dolphins coming up tonight as well. All that ahead. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in. Final segment of the day here on Robbie and Rex Road from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. The Titans taking on the Miami Dolphins tonight on Monday Night Football. Joseph News on that front. Tom Pelissero, among others, putting it out there. Raheem Mostert, who is listed as questionable on the injury report with a chest injury, not expected to play tonight against the Titans. So no Mostert tonight for the Dolphins.
So more Jalen Wright,
you would think. And A-Chain, however you say his name.
Yeah.
Gonna have to figure that out.
You guys
tonight.
way too good for us to still not know how to say his name.
Well, I've heard 3 different things. I think one time he said like A-Chan, and then they've said A-Chain, and then there was a Shan at one point too. And I was like, I don't think that's it. So we'll try to get some.
But he said A-Chan?
I think so.
Okay. Well, then let's just go with that.
I think that's what he said.
Right. A-Chain just sounds cooler, kind of, though.
A-Chain
right?
does sound cooler.
Yeah.
No Storm Duck. I don't know if my mind can handle a Will Levis interception thrown to Storm Duck time. I don't even know if Storm Duck's playing like on defense. I don't know if he's like a special teamer. I don't know what he does. But if Storm Duck ends up with the football tonight in any capacity, that may be too much for me. I don't know if I can handle that.
Storm Duck? What the? Right.
God.
Some great other name thrown out there real quick. Carvassier Smoke is also
That's pretty good.
That is an outstanding one. Apparently, there's a baseball player named Sky Bolt.
That's also good.
That's pretty special. This could be question. Big Joe and Chase, if you guys want a question of the day,
this could be it.
This could be a good one for you. There's a couple other ones on there that I've already forgotten. Yeah, I still think General Booty's tough to beat, man.
Tough to beat. Dennis on the text line did bring up the Storm Duck fighting an injury. Titans could be facing a lame duck tonight. It's well done.
I mean, that's a little bit too dad jokey for me. You know me, I'm not. I got a real strong, judgment against cheesy jokes. Yeah,
you do.
Yeah. I got a real high standard there.
Yeah.
On the
your comedy standards,
puns.
top notch.
Yeah, for sure. Long fuse, high standards.
Yep. Joseph on the text line asking a question that you brought up earlier.
Yep.
Would you sell D-Hop to the Chiefs if they came calling? So Rashee Rice goes down with an ACL injury. Looks like he's going to be out the whole year. Let's say the Titans lose tonight. They drop to 0-4. You giving Kansas City a call, or they giving you a call and you seriously consider it?
Yeah. If the Titans lose this game tonight, which I think, again, to me means a best case scenario after 7 games of 1-6, I think that you have to have an open line on that. Because I don't think the Chiefs, they already are struggling on offense, which I understand what happened last year. It doesn't guarantee it's happening again this year. They have great defense, great quarterback. Kelsey looked more like himself yesterday. Obviously, Xavier Worthy's a weapon, but Rashee Rice being out for that team, they're not winning the Super Bowl if they don't add somebody. They're not. So I think that you could get a premium from them if you're a team around this league that's struggling with, it's funny because I saw something yesterday too from Florio on Sunday night talking about Devontae Adams and his situation with the Raiders. Obviously very unhappy there. And so, but I think absolutely the Titans should be open to that if they lose tonight. It's just like, it's a wash of a season if you start 0-4. I'm sorry. Like, you're not making the playoff. Like, I don't think
they
may be
there already. But
well, maybe. But, I mean, if you win, then I think you have to, okay, Indy's a huge game coming in here. You get to 2-3, and you just see from there. But you get to 0-4 here, and I do think that you start thinking about possibly getting some value for somebody. And to me, even though DeAndre Hopkins is a hugely different player than Rashee Rice, who gives them a speed element, still, he would help the Chiefs a lot.
Wes in Clarksville. How bad will it be if we lose tonight? It's going to be the lowest of lows. This is from Wes in Clarksville on the text line. And not only will it be that, you'll be 0-4, and then you got 2 weeks to sit there and stew on it. That's the thing. When you have the bye week as early in the year as the Titans have it this year, you lose this game, you get to 0-4, and you got 2 weeks to just sit there and marinate on it before the Colts come into town here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Great timing.
I mean, you got a break. You got a break with the Packers health situation. Didn't take advantage of it. You got a break tonight. You might get a break against Colts too, by the
Yep.
way. I have no idea with Anthony Richardson, but yeah, you just like that team is as banged up as they are going to, to Huntley at quarterback. You just have to win this game. I understand that Jeff Simmons is out or likely going to be out.
Doubtful.
So that's a big loss, but play some offense, move the ball. I mean, the Dolphins they can be scored on, run the football.
I got a text here going back to our name conversation. It says we're missing the best one. Gout.
Oh, God. That's right. I forgot about Gout.
What's better, Gout, or General Booty? That's pretty close.
For this program, because of my history with gout, which I'm more than willing to make fun of my health ailments, gout is pretty hard to beat.
We have got to find a way to get Gout on the show. I don't care what it takes.
How good
Teaser, get on that.
I honestly don't know the answer to this question. Like, how good is Gout? Like, is Gout? I understand, like, Kuharski found this, random tweet about Gout and sent it to Glennon and me.
Well,
but is Gout like going to be actually an internationally prominent runner?
He's only 16. So.
Oh, wow. So Gout
Still
has
some time to grow into
some time
the
to,
role.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm here for it. Let's get Gout on the program.
Apparently it's pretty good. I'm looking at some articles right now. Ran 20.87 seconds to break the national under 18 record in Australia. There you go.
Okay.
He's got some potential.
Outstanding.
You could see Gout in the Olympics very soon.
And it's also, I know that it affects different parts of the body, but it's, for the most part, Gout goes to the feet. So it's amazing that it's a great runner who is Gout.
It really is.
We're busting down the walls of Gout.
Yes, we
today.
are. By the way, as somebody pointed out, like if let's say Richardson can't go in 2 weeks against the Titans and it's Flacco, like you can make the argument that right now at this stage of their careers, as Richardson is continuing to try to grow into the role, like that could be worse news for the Titans than it would be if Anthony Richardson was playing. You can make the argument. I don't know that I totally believe it, but you can make the argument.
No, you could. Flacco made a couple big throws yesterday for sure when the Steelers looked like they were going to come back in that game. There's a safe game manager element of him, whereas with Richardson, there's the huge play element,
right?
But also mistakes and inconsistency and things like that. So, yeah, maybe all these backups are screwing over the Titans. They would have taken it to Jordan Love.
Well, Jordan Love could barely move yesterday, so he certainly wouldn't be running the read option on you like Malik Willis did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Ed on the text line, to all Titans fans, in the immortal words of Andy Dufresne, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of all things. And he's leaving us with that heading into the Titans and Dolphins game tonight. Hope is a good thing.
Keep hope alive, guys.
Is hope alive?
A little bit.
Limited hope.
There's a little bit. I mean, look, everybody will feel better if they win tonight, right?
I hope for their sake they find a way to win tonight.
Well, I mean, how about if they play well?
Wow.
Like
define
win,
well.
But well,
offensively.
Yeah, like
they
Will Levis doesn't have a killer turnover. They run the ball like I think they can run the ball on most teams this league, like pretty effectively.
That would probably mean they got smoked by Tyler Snoop Huntley if they lose the game and still play well offensively.
Hopkins and Ridley both make plays. They tackle.
How do they lose?
They're going to win the football game tonight. I predict it.
Okay. All right.
So do you.
Yeah, I think they are.
Keiser says no. Hater.
He did. That does it for us. We'll find out tomorrow whether or not the Titans are winners tonight. We'll have you covered all day long here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe up next. You've been listening to Robbie and Rex Road.